Let me ask you something. Just remember the last virtual meeting you had. Could have been Zoom, Google Meet. There are many options nowadays. Did you feel like you connected with your audience, especially if you were the host, if you were the leader or the trainer or the coach or the speaker of the day? Did you feel like you actually connected with your audience? Did you feel like some of them are sneaking into, use their WhatsApps and to get into, social media in one way or another? Did you feel like 100% connected? Well, now, here's a truth. In virtual spaces, your presence matters just as much, if not more, than when you're in the room. Research shows people form impressions of your professionalism within 30 seconds. Before you actually say good morning, people already have decided if they will lean in, give you their full attention, or they'll put off their microphones and their visuals, their video, and they'll be doing other things. They've already decided. Sometimes you can be so captivating within your first good morning, that first 30 seconds. People have decided, I want to soak in everything this lady or gentleman is talking about. Now, today, we want to talk about the science of presence in virtual meetings. I'll share 5 practical ways you can show up with confidence, with clarity, and credibility. Even though it is a screen that you're looking at, we are going to spread our energy, our message through the screen with impact, and it's going to be felt and it's going to be seen by someone who's going to pick it up and do what you want them to do. Now, we have been hearing so many stories, some of them very funny, some of them like really, really amazing, about virtual meetings that went, this or that way. And we know what happens. But let's get into it. Point number 1, your camera presence is your stage. Think about this. 82% of professionals say how someone shows up on camera influences their credibility. I once joined a client meeting where the project lead, the person we were all supposed to trust and listen to, was in a dark space. It looked a bit cringy. They had their laptop on their lap. So we were actually just seeing their chest, not even their faces. In fact, the only glimpse we had was of their chin. And I'm sure that was not the intention. But it is just how they had not thought about the camera. They've not thought about where to place their gadgets. And of course, you can tell how it went. That conversation did not go so well because we were there because we had to be there. We did not connect with the speaker of the day. And that is what happens to most of us. We don't give too much attention to the camera, to that lens. We look at the screen, not at the lens, right? While at the lens is where people feel your connection, because being in that virtual meeting is much more important than even being in an in-person meeting. Reason being, you have to really bring people in closer to get to hear your message, despite all the disruptions going on in their background. Now, we sometimes distract people with how we are dressed. I've seen that. I've been there a bit too much because I have a lot of virtual meetings. I do a lot of virtual trainings and coaching. So I get to say this a lot of times. Where somebody comes with clothes that are quite distracting, right? Colors, you have these florals going on, all these colors going on. Of course, they're happy colors. They make you happy. But really, they distract your audience. We, however, advise that you do solid colors. Let's avoid stripes. Let's avoid the checks. Let's, avoid the flowers, big flowers, small flowers, all that, the cartoons. Yeah. Let's stick to the solid colors. Let's talk about deep blue. Let's talk about emerald green. Those solid colors, they give us confidence and also gives an audience confidence. And they can also now concentrate on the message that we're given. So let's avoid also colors that are just white. White is brilliant. It's a beautiful color, but sometimes it can wash away your color. Sometimes we also choose black, and black also can take away from your presence. So it's good to just look at the colors that we use, and I'm going to put in the description box some guidelines of the colors that we should use, a cut of clothes, for that kind of the impression that we want to create virtually. We need to wear blazers, structured clothes, clothes that have structure. That also gives confidence and helps us in how we show up. All right. So we want to also go with the V-necks, because remember, the attention is from your torso going up. So it's your neck mostly and your waist going up. That is where people will concentrate on most of the time. Of course, you cannot do pajamas. I know you're at home, you're in your bedroom. Yes, it's 8 p.m., it's 9 p.m. But you know what? The impression that you create there, even if it's in camera, it's a lasting impression. People will see you during the day dressed and adorned in your good suit, but they will remember the image that you had, in your pajamas. So let's look for at least a blazer. I've seen people, though of course not to work on what they are wearing down, but they work on at least having a blazer on, a nice tee or a just nice blouse or shirt. It gives you that look. That looks respectable and that looks credible. Let's go minimum on the accessories. Let's minimize on the accessories. It's good to have a statement earring. It's good. Just have a necklace. When I say a necklace, I'm talking about not so overpowering, because again, if my accessories are overpowering my look, again, it takes away from my message. So I want to also avoid those bangles that are making so much noise. We have some of those accessories that make a lot of noise. So every movement, makes all this jingling noise that again distracts our audience from our message. And of course, we want to talk about, let's look at the neck going up. Let's concentrate. If it's the makeup, do minimum makeup, but at least touch on your face to at least look appealing and to look attractive for your audience. Because remember, at this point in time, we don't have the rest of our body. It is just, as far as the audience is concerned, it's just chest going up. So we want to put a lot of emphasis in how we look, right? So dress as if you're walking in a boardroom, but optimized with camera. Look clean, polished, and intentional. And I remember a lady that once I coached a few years back, and she got an interview. She got called, she was selected for an interview. It was supposed to be virtual. It was a reputable company, and she was really excited about the opportunity. And so she came to ask me, how do I dress for this particular slot? And I told her, you know what? Let's call her Zippy. That was not her actual name. Zippy, if you could actually dress up like you're going to an in-person, kind of a meeting or interview, if you dressed up, smell nice, put on your 6-heel shoe if you have to. The long, nice, pointed, all the wax. Do your thing the way you do if you go to an actual interview. Then she was like, but they won't see all that. I mean, all that effort for nothing. I said, look at this way. If you feel the part, the way you act will definitely resonate. All right. So you have to feel good to actually even come out as confident. When you feel good, it will show through the camera. They will feel your energy from the other end. So you're not actually, at this point, you're not doing it for them per se, you're doing it for you. So because it will build your confidence. When I'm applying my perfume and I'm there, I'm having a virtual meeting. Okay, my family will say you're a bit too much, but I know that when I'm feeling nice and I'm feeling like, I'm feeling good, then it projects in my voice, it projects in how I look, it projects in the general atmosphere in my room. And so when these people look through the camera, through the lens to me, they see that. They see that because they're interacting with the energy, which has been put together by all that preparation. Now, point number 2, we're talking about eye contact through the lens. We talked a bit about this. Let's look at the lens, not the screen. Sometimes there's a temptation of seeing who is there in the room. I want to look at who is there. I saw my friend. I saw so-and-so. I saw so-and-so. I didn't see so. So we really concentrate on the screen. And when we do that, it appears on the other end like you're distracted, like you're not really in the room. But when you look at that lens, that small part, which is just the lens. When you look through the lens, it feels like you're looking at the person behind the lens. So whoever it is, from wherever they are, they can actually feel you. They can see you. And they feel like you're talking to them directly just because you did one small thing, which was look at the lens. I know sometimes we have notes. We have to project our notes and we have to keep looking once in a while. But every so often, I would advise, let's go back and look through the lens. As much as we're looking at the notes, as much as we're looking at everything else, but let's do this. Look at the lens with warmth, and concentrate, not gazing, just a glance. That is number 2. And did you know that maintaining eye contact increases trustworthiness up to 30%? Yes, whether, in person or virtually. It really does build that credibility and it increases that trustworthiness. So it works through the camera lens, just like it works when you're in the same room. So I remember a story again of a certain CEO, and he felt like he was talking alone. And so he came to me and he was like, you know what? I don't like virtual meetings because I always feel like I'm in the room alone. So I told him, let's do this. Let's have a virtual meetup and let me see what you're doing. All right. And so that is when I realized he does not actually look at the lens. He feels like he's looking at me, but he's just looking at my picture, which is on the screen. And that was just a small difference that he had to adjust to. So I told him where to look at. And from there on, he could feel the difference. He actually connected with his people, his staff that he was talking to deeper than he was before. And actually one of his staff told me, you know what, boss, I always feel like you're talking to me directly. When you're talking to us, I feel like it's me, you're addressing to me. And, that was a success story because now all he needed to do was just a simple adjustment. And once he learned how to do that, the impact was there. It was natural and it was beautiful. Point number 3, your voice carries more weight online. I know in person we talk about tone being very important, but online, now, this is where things go really, really serious. Because all I'm depending on mostly, yes, there's your body language, there's part of it, but mostly it's now your voice. When we sit in a room, it's different. I'm looking at your body language. I see when you lean in, I see when you pull out, but in that space where it's just the camera and you, I depend much more on your voice. So your voice carries a lot of weight. In virtual meetings, we lose a lot of body language. We don't have that chance of using our body language. That's why our voice has become our biggest presence tool. And studies show that 38% of impressions come from the tone of our voices, which means how you sound often matters more than you would say or more than you know. So we need to avoid the monotone, the flat tone, the reduced, volume, and everybody keeps asking, we can't hear you. Can you go louder? What's happening? Let's be audible. Let's test our gadgets beforehand. In fact, I tell people, why don't you join in earlier, like 10 minutes earlier into the session? Have someone that you can dialogue with and share the feedback with them, how they look to you, how they sound to you, and you also get feedback how you sound to them, because that will also help you quite a bit. Don't just turn in at 9 p.m. because the meeting was starting at 9 p.m. Come in a bit earlier. The preparation will do you a great deal of good. Now, compare that with the manager who uses variation of tones. There's that person who has actually mastered. They will go high, they will go low. They have variation of tone. So it's not boring listening to them. When they talk about the giant, they talk about this huge giant. When they talk about a small boy, they go like that young, nice boy. So it goes with what they're talking about and it keeps us engaged. And sometimes, I can be watching something for 2 hours and I'm so engaged, I forgot I was actually watching because I feel like I'm already in there, right? And these things some of them are applied in the movies that we watch, so we don't know why is it that you can watch a movie for 3 hours. If it was just a monotone, somebody just sat somewhere and just used the same tone through and through and through for 2 hours, it would be a bit boring. We want to know where is it that the voice goes high. When you're talking about it was spooky, we want to hear the spookiness in the voice. When you talk about the excitement, we want to hear the excitement. When you talk about sadness, again, I cannot sound excited. That is so mean. When I'm talking something sad, again, my voice goes in that sad tone, right? So it depends with what you're saying. You have to be very, very conscious of that. So now, here is the action. Record yourself, all right? Are you using variety, warmth, the poses? Do you sound nice to yourself? Let's just start from there. Do you sound good to yourself? A friend of mine told me, I don't like listening to my voice at all. I was like, why is that? That's strange. You should love your voice. I mean, your voice should be the best out there. All you need to do is a bit of exercising, a bit of practice, and you will get there. Point number 4, visual energy and background. Let's talk background. 60% of professionals say a cluttered or unprofessional background negatively impacts their perception of someone. When you're putting that virtual meetup and you have not considered there are clothes hanging behind you, you have not considered, the space that you're using, you have not considered the background. Okay, nowadays we have other backgrounds you can use that are virtual, but if you have not considered how it looks behind there, it is definitely distracting again your audience. So we have been in situations. In fact, I remember most recently, we had a 3-hour training and it was a Saturday. So considering it was 10 to, I think, to 1, most people, that is their chill time, that's their downtime. And so this particular lady was seated on her bed. And we could not help it. We were just all looking at her. And as we were talking, as the leader was going on and on and on, the trainer was going on, of course, we were all really looking at this lady on the bed, wondering, what will she do next? So as much as it wasn't, we didn't want to be distracted, but she was there. At some point, she started applying lotion on her legs. And I was thinking, what do we do? And we're trying to call the person organizing, please try and mute this person off. She really distracted the meeting. It took away from the message. So let's all remember, let us consider what is the background. In the room that I'm sitting in, where am I? Do I have enough lighting, right? What is behind there? If it's the window again, there's so much light, it will blur and it will really, again, affect the quality of the meeting, all right, or the images. So consider where you choose to have your meeting. Nowadays, of course, we have TikTok. That's a different story. I see young people, they don't care. They'll do it wherever, whenever, but that's a different ball game. When you're actually meeting and it's a serious meeting, it's a Zoom meeting, it's a work-related meeting, you're building up a business, you have, again, to be very intentional on how you show up. And point number 5, engagement. This is now your presence. So finally, presence isn't just how you look or sound, it's how you engage. Research tells us 70% of virtual attendees admit to multitasking during online meetings. It sounds strange, but that is just the truth. I even was one day, I remember calling someone, we're having a meeting on, it was a big group. So I decided just call a friend of mine. She was part of the meeting, so I thought she was there. When she finally picked the phone, she was like, I'm cooking. I'm like, we're supposed to be in the meeting. Like, what? I have earphones. I'm in the kitchen. I'm doing my thing. It's multitasking. While people will do that, but again, we want everybody's attention. We want to capture their attention, not forcefully, but just capture them because it is interesting to look at and to listen to. So we need to work on that. And we need an engagement. It's good to keep asking and prompting people, asking questions. How many are here today? How many like what we're talking about? How many have a question? Interact with your audience. Keep them engaged through and through and through, right? Just to make sure that at each and every point in time, then there's engagement. And I have one leader that I know that I truly admire. And every time she calls us for a training, or it's just a normal meeting, number one, she's very intentional about her background. And number two, she keeps us engaged through and through. Like after every 7 or so minutes, she's like, if you agree with me, put a H. If you agree with me, put 3 zeros. Put this, put that. So, and because she has taught us to do that, and we're used to that kind of engagement, every time she's the one, training us, I'm always very alert, knowing that I might be called upon at any time. I might just be asked to do a presentation or whatever it is. But I'm alert because I know she really engages us. Now, here's a takeaway. Call people by name. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page, because we can't see you. And mostly nowadays, people put their cameras off. And also request people to put their cameras on, because if you don't request, it won't be done. So give people, like flowers or something, just to recognize them when they put their cameras up. The thing is, we need to encourage them to put their cameras on, because this is a meeting, just like all the other meetings, and it needs to be as serious as all the other meetings. Now, let's recap what we've talked about. Number one, your camera is your stage. So we need to respect it, and we need to be very, very intentional with it. Number two, look into the lens for true eye contact. Not at the screen, but the lens. Number three, we've said use your voice as your superpower. Where you need to go high, go high. When you need to look and sound mysterious, sound mysterious. When you need to pause, pause. Three, use your voice as your superpower. We've said that. Align your background. That is the fourth one. Align your background and visuals with your brand. If you have a logo, good for you. But make sure that whatever we see does not distract, does not take away from your message. And fifthly, we want to create engagement that commands attention. That is the whole purpose of this virtual meeting. It is to engage and to make sure that we're on the same page. Remember, in this digital age, your presence doesn't shrink on screen. No, it doesn't. It amplifies. So that's where we are going. This is our future. We are living in our future. And in this future, we have to agree and embrace this digital presence. This is here with us, and it's here to stay. The best we can do is polish ourselves, align ourselves, and make sure that we give impact as much as we are giving in person. Now, this was Off Mute with Becky. Until next time, keep showing off and keep showing up online and virtually. Until next time, thank you. Take care. Bye.